rhythm, feel the rhyme, give it up. It's podcast time, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Miles Offside podcast, where we talk a little bit of football and a whole lot of nonsense. Your main man, the best one, your favourite, the people's champion, Chucky Bailey, right here. And with me, superist of producerists, Mr. Ian Stimson. Ian, welcome to the podcast.
You've supered me back, which is good, because you can see that I've actually pressed record this time, and it's just me and you. So yeah,
but you say I can see it. You say I can see it. I can't see that.
Oh, you can't. I thought that was available to everyone. Okay,
no,
fine.
But I feel like that's good because it means you have checked this time.
Well, I'm staring hard at it, and it's
you just focus completely on that for the next X number of minutes.
Nothing else.
We will do stuff there. For those of you that are rejoining us, thank you. It is lovely to have you back. We are down one person this week. Sadly, Oscar has dealt with a loss in his family, so he won't be with us, but we wish him all the very best. We send you all of our love, my man, and wish that you and your family are well at this less than preferable time. As such, I won't attempt to do rapid fire news, but we did want to touch on one thing briefly, without getting too bogged down with it. The kind of news story that's dominated most of football is kind of to do with obviously sexual and domestic violence, and we just wanted to take the opportunity, as ever, to remind all of our listeners that those that are worried, scared, need someone to talk to about this situation, we are always available. And in general, men, be better. We all need to be better. We all need to acknowledge this, be it in comments that are made around us in passing, certain behaviours that we allow because it's a bit of banter, and the environments that we perhaps create that allow these kind of things to develop and become very public. It is obviously very shocking what has been released and obviously subsequently deleted pending police investigations and arrests, etc. And it's not acceptable at all. We've in what way we can help, we've donated all of our money from Patreon this month to Refuge, the charity that deal with sexual and domestic violence against women. And other forms of support there in what little way we can do, A, to shine a light on it through our podcast, and B, give a little bit back.
Yeah, because what you said is right there, Chuck, that men have got to be better. And specifically it's, when you're talking about and we're not making any specific allegations, obviously, but everyone knows what came out. When you're talking about a young man, there's never not any red flags in that situation, is there? We all have to be better at recognising things that, as you say, might have been passed off as banter in the past and really shouldn't be. So, yeah, we all need to be better at recognising that and calling it out and not normalising behaviour, because then hopefully we can get somewhere where these things are called out much quicker and don't escalate to certain points. So, yeah.
Exactly. So, anyway, moving on from that, not to try and do too much of a 180 on here, but we're here to talk about football, the good side of football.
There hasn't been any football. There hasn't been any football for years.
Excuse me, FA Cup. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a Premier League. Oscar's not here this week, so we will talk about the magic of the cup. And let's have a little check-in on Posh Island as well. I think there might be a Venn diagram there. Did Peterborough do a bit of all right?
Well, yeah, we beat QPR 2-0 with our only 2 shots on target, which seems to be... yeah, absolutely. So shithouse to win there. And we drew Man City at home, so we're gonna be playing Man City. We're gonna get tonked by Man City 11-0.
11-0. How do you actually feel about it? Because both rounds, now that all the mop teams are again through to the 5th round, with Palace beating Hartlepool, Chelsea beating Plymouth, and obviously, like you said before, Posh going through against QPR. How do you feel about getting Man City? Is there a little bit of you that's enjoying going to watch them play?
Well,
because you're going to go, right?
Yeah, I'll go. So, I mean, I don't know. We don't need a cup run, although it would be good to get a feel-good cup run. But also, what is a cup run when you're in the Championship and you get to the 5th round? We've won 2 games. That's not
you're basically League One, though. mate, let's face it.
Well, steady on. We'll get there. I'm sure we'll get there. But I'm quite happy it's a big team. It's a shame it wasn't Chelsea or Palace, because I think we were watching the draw simultaneously, weren't we? And
we were the first games basically, weren't we?
Yeah,
as well?
yeah. Luton Chelsea was the first.
Luton Chelsea was
drawn.
first. That gets Oscar out of the way. Then it was Palace at home, and I was sitting in the living room going Peterborough.
Yeah.
Sadly, we got Stoke. Oh well, we'll just have to go through to the quarterfinals.
And then Peterborough next ball, like you say, and then followed by Man City. So yeah, I think it'll be good. It'll be nice to take Finn and possibly see some stars that he's seen on telly before play. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, we don't need to be in the FA Cup. We're never going to win it, obviously. So it is just a distraction. So I'm perfectly happy to get City. Seems like a bit of fun.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, shout outs, other kind of honourable mentions. Lots of the minnows kind of going ahead and then not managing it. Kidderminster was that was so painful. They went ahead with a lovely goal against West Ham, and then West Ham pegged them back in extra time in the 90 and extra time in extra time as well, added time and extra time, sorry. Same, Plymouth went ahead against Chelsea. Chelsea came back in extra time. Fulham only lasted about 30 seconds being ahead against Man City before they got pumped 4-1. Norwich won.
That doesn't seem like a thing that's real.
Yeah, Huddersfield got through, Liverpool went through, Tottenham smashed Brighton, the mighty Nottingham Forest, shout out Mark Daffin, patron, producer, all that goodness, 4-1 against Leicester. They are in a troubling bit of form at the minute, and Boreham Wood beating plucky little Bournemouth. Lovely to see, and it was Did you manage to catch many of the games? Not we're not going to go into specific, but how are you feeling about the FA Cup? Has Peterborough getting through at least given you a bit more engagement in what happened in the last round?
I mean, it's a bit of fun, isn't it?
I think it is fun.
What it seems, It's a bit of fun. Well, I was almost upset Boreham Wood got through, because Peterborough would have been the lowest ranked team still in it if they hadn't. which yes, lovely little badge of honour. But yeah, I think it's great, because you could see that Nottingham Forest were going to give Leicester a game before it even kicked off. I think we were talking in the chat, in the Slack and that, and saying this could easily be an upset in inverted commas because of how poor Leicester have been. Brendan Rodgers saying he's embarrassed about his team's performance. One of their fans going on and trying to beat up a couple of...
Trying to punch that! What are you doing? Arrested, I'm assuming, having charges against him.
Been charged, 19-year-old been charged.
Lovely.
Yeah, with common assault, I think, yeah.
Twat. We had other reports of people who knew there were friends in the area, like Leicester fans were trashing the place and being overly rowdy and smashing up places. And you're like, for fuck's sake, maybe we need to rethink our thing of Leicester being a good club and good people. And
it doesn't help, does it?
It's fucking everywhere. Oh, because it's a local derby or whatever it is. Fuck off. Stop being a... Oh no! Now you've got to edit this. I just dropped a C-bomb.
I was never going to just top and tail it and chuck it out.
Never mind. We're not as good as we thought.
Never mind. But yeah, the magic of the cup definitely exists. It's only because Oscar supports Chelsea, and it's a distraction, rather like the tournament that they've gone off to at the minute. And that they see it like that. But as soon as they get into the semi-finals and finals, they want it the same as everyone else.
Yeah, definitely.
I like it. It's just come at a funny time, hasn't it? Where we've got this big gap in the Premier League proceedings. If you play FPL, the longest game week in history, because Burnley Watford was added to the schedule but didn't kick off.
Shock 0-0. Yeah, we're not discussing that one.
The worst sort of game ever.
Not discussing that one. Two clean sheets, 2 0-0s for Burnley. There you go.
Yeah.
Sean Dyche, that's how you climb up out of the relegation zone, mate. Jesus Christ.
So yeah, great to have a bit of FA Cup action.
I mean, for me, Palace, we didn't score a goal in a cup for about 3.5 years under Hodgson. So when we beat
it's exciting
Millwall,
tournament football, so it's anti-Hodgson.
Then it was like, we got Hartlepool, brilliant. Oh, maybe potential banana skin. 4 minutes in, that was 1-0. I was like, sweet, happy days. Don't need to worry about that. But yeah, it would have been nice if there were a few more all Premier League ties to see what can happen. I think we can get a max of 7 Premier League teams through now to the final 8. So it's a bit of a shame, but is what it is.
Yeah, you very rarely get a non-Premier League team in the last sort of 4 anyway, do you? So it all shakes out in the end, despite people talking about weakened teams and everything. It all shakes out.
No, but it's about, you look at Kidderminster against West Ham, and that was just amazing. Like, even though they were a bit destitute, that's not the word. Maybe, I don't know, it's the pyramid. They were heartbroken. Declan Rice doesn't give a shit. 1-1 in 90-something minutes. Start doing a Michael Jackson impression in front of your fans. Why not?
Yeah, sure.
Weak. But, that's why we enjoy football and the fun of it. Speaking of cups, we'll give a big shout out to the winners of Afcon. Senegal won on penalties against Egypt. Mo Salah didn't get the chance to take a penalty. They put him 5th. I'll never understand that. Never understand.
They did it for every penalty shootout that Egypt had, which was about 18, I think.
They had so many. But I don't know what your thoughts about this, but because there's some sort of science against where you play people and whatever.
Yeah.
But have your best penalty taker, in my mind, 1st or 3rd. Because, no matter what, they will take a penalty.
That seems important, yeah.
Because, 3rd is, the make or break time. If 2 people have missed before you, or, that's when it can turn. And they'd missed 2, and Mane took the winner to make it 4-2. And then, your best penalty taker doesn't get the chance. And you just look a bit of a mug, really. Yeah,
it is odd tactics, that, I think. Like you say, you have to make absolutely sure they take a penalty. I mean, this has happened to He Must Not Be Named as well, hasn't it? And if you've seen it happen a few times in big tournaments, you just sort of think, well, why would you do that? Just get you. In my view, I know what you're saying about 3rd, and I heard something earlier about someone saying 1st and 4th are the most important statistically.
Okay.
I'm not sure who's done that, but yeah. But it's I just don't understand why you wouldn't play them first. Just get. If you've got your best penalty taker, you've got the biggest chance of scoring, get that first green dot on the board. I don't understand any other thought to it, to be honest. But there you go. I mean, it wasn't a thrilling final. 0-0. Yeah, and some of the games have not been great at the Afcon, but it was a fun ending, and Mane's redemption with his penalty, because I must admit when I saw him walking up, I was like, he's going to miss this.
Well, he missed one in about the 7th minute.
Yeah, and I just thought he had the fear, but clearly wrong, because he smashed it. But
Dunn did goals. Dunn did what gets paid many, many thousands of pounds to do.
Absolutely.
From 12 yards out.
Good story for Senegal, though, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Lovely to have a Palace player in there, Cheku Kouyaté, even though he's probably gone by the end of the season, in there. Getting the win for Afcon as well. It would have been nicer probably if it was Zaha, but at least you get a player in there. So that kind of summarises a couple of the cups. The main kind of other bit that we wanted to talk about and kind of get into a bit is the transfer window. The January transfer window slammed.
Slammed shut.
Slammed shut. Has to. Whatever his name is, Jim White is contractually obliged to never gently close doors.
His wife is furious.
Always slamming doors. Next door neighbours setting off car alarms. For fuck's sake, Jim, just shut the door quietly.
No need, Jim,
with your gold tie. Fucking hell. So we kind of grouped together teams, as it were, to kind of go through these, because we're not going to do our usual thing of grading, but just kind of highlighting what we think might have been some bad decisions, some good decisions, some really weird ones, and ones that just aren't worth fucking talking about, Brighton. So grouping the first ones together, we have got our teams who signed no one effectively, because they've either signed people just for their youth teams or they've loaned them straight back. We have Arsenal, Chelsea, Leeds United, Leicester City, Manchester United, Norwich City and West Ham. Now, I guess some of them you can kind of see. City signed the next Aguero basically and loaned him back in Argentina. I can't remember his name now, and I can't scroll down that far. But are there any teams there that you kind of think probably should have signed someone?
Well, I think there's a couple. Yeah, to be honest, I mean, Arsenal. Well, I would have said that they maybe previous to the transfer when it weren't desperate to do business, but when they offloaded who they offloaded, then you need to get some replacements in, and it felt like that didn't happen at all. Aubameyang to Barcelona. Tore up the contract by mutual consent, has gone to Barcelona, hardly earning anything for the first year, so that he can actually play for him. After then, he will then go on to a massive bumper salary, probably more than he was earning at Arsenal. When Barcelona definitely sort out their financial problems. Jesus Sure. Yeah,
Christ.
Of course.
Learn from their mistakes. I think it's cast against the background of we can't play fixtures because we haven't got enough players. And then you get rid of, notable ones, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Kolasinac, Pablo Mari, Callum Chambers.
Mari did never recover from that game, did he?
Which game was that?
I can't remember who it was, but which player was it who absolutely had him on toast all game? And it's basically retired him. I'll Google it.
Adam, if you can sort us out later, and that'll be great. We'll probably get in touch before we send this out, and just Ian will insert in a player's name there.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then not signing anything. I
don't have a problem with getting rid of Aubameyang. Because it felt like the relationship had
fine and
broken down.
Yeah.
And they've saved themselves something like 25 million quid in wages.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. I think that was almost a best case scenario for getting rid of a player like that.
So, return question. I will return the serve to you. Do you think they spend that money wisely?
Well, they haven't, because they haven't done anything. Oh, well, yeah, no, I don't think they do. I don't know. It's the lack of plan, it seems like. This all happened as well quite late in the window, and it just... Yeah, I don't... It's a really surprising one when Arsenal felt like they were kicking on from such a bad early season, and it felt like a bit of momentum maybe. It just... Who have they got as strikers now? Lacazette and Nketiah.
Eddie Nketiah, yeah. Who apparently we keep bidding for and they keep rejecting. It's like, just take the hint. Please just leave him. Leave him there.
I think it's a bit of a weird one, because I think they were possibly in an upward trajectory, and I just think that might have stalled it a little bit.
I wonder if it, because, it's a rebuild and a project, and you're like, 4 years in, are you still just clearing the decks to try and build towards a summer maybe where they're going to bring in more people? I don't know. I'm not an expert in Arsenal and the way they are. I know they do have a very good academy, but yeah, it just feels a bit need some depth. Otherwise, Leicester didn't sign anyone. Leeds, again, loads of injuries, no players, haven't signed anyone for donkey's years. Are we a bit worried about them? With their performance this year hasn't been great in general, and now they had no defenders at one point, no central defenders and no strikers.
Yeah, playing 15, 16-year-olds on the bench. Bielsa does what he wants. He does what he wants. Marcelo Bielsa, he does what he wants. He really does. I just don't. Yeah, I'm not sort of criticising. Because I think the fact that they've kept Phillips, Rafinha, I think is great, because true. There would have been people sniffing around them. I think West Ham might have put relatively late bids in, but obviously Bamford's been injured, so he's another one who maybe people would have been sniffing around if he'd have been fit. But this injury seems to be just lasting forever for Bamford. So I don't know whether to criticise or not, because I think keeping those players is very good. I think if they'd have lost Rafinha, I think they could have been in real trouble. and you know, I'm fairly certain he'll be sold over summer.
Yeah, there was talk of Bayern that were looking at him as well, and those kind of rumours came in that they were going to go for him, because I don't think he's got much left on his contract. But
yeah, we have to assume that Leeds are going to have a better second half of the season than they've had. They've been ravaged.
They need to. They're 17th, but 16th. Sorry, by underlying numbers.
Right. Which is not Leeds' usual MO, is it?
Their XG differential per 90 is minus 0.48. And for context, Burnley's is minus 0.52. So there's a 0.04 goal per game difference between them and Burnley have 2 games in hand on them. And so, yeah, worried. Otherwise, I mean, Man United, no one cares. West Ham probably should have bought a striker. And Norwich,
Well, I just find Norwich a bit odd again. Just Campbell, like, I don't know what's happened there. There must be something behind the scenes, because he was a really decent player for him, and then he wasn't getting picked.
He had quite a long injury, I think, towards the tail end of their championship season last year,
right?
And then this year, and then never just got picked or never did anything.
It's a weird one, that I think he's quite a talent, but just to go to Bournemouth. I mean, I would have thought a Premier League team would have been in for him, but to loan him to Bournemouth... Anyway, I don't know.
It's funny,
tricky.
Isn't it, the swings? Because remember when Todd Cantwell was going to go to like one of the biggest clubs for X amount of money? And you also had, a few years ago, Man United were bidding like 50 million for Longstaff at Newcastle.
Right.
And, you know, Cantwell was just gone to Bournemouth and Longstaff has just gone on loan to Mansfield.
Some scouts are just having a laugh, aren't they?
Yeah, it's just money in it. Just spunk it, whatever. It doesn't matter. So there we go. Our next
those are the boring ones, aren't they? The ones that
those are the boring ones. Well, these are also then teams that, you know, they're only kind of one step up. Brighton, no one gives a shit. They sign a load of players that you've never heard of, and then like 90% of them disappear without you ever hearing of them. So it's irrelevant. Southampton made Willy Caballero permanent. That's what you need. And Wolves signed 3 players, loaned 2 of them back, but of course they kept the Portuguese player in keeping with their standards, their way of going. I mean, I'm fine with that. I think Wolves have been really good this season. I think Southampton, for where they are, probably aren't improving much.
Yeah. Wolves losing Traore to
Barcelona. That's kind of beefy boy. Was 100% going to Spurs.
Yeah, that was the chat, weren't it? But
yeah, now he's been loaned to Barcelona. Or no, did they buy him?
No, it's a loan. It is a loan, but I think there might be a clause to buy. Yeah, he wasn't even. As I said to you when we talked about him possibly going to Spurs, and I was a bit sort of negative on it, in that saying he doesn't even get in Wolves' team all the time. Oh, just go Barcelona, mate. Why not? Go
Barcelona, do whatever the fuck you want. I think because Adama Traore is obviously a Spain international, and there was also talk of Morata going to Barcelona, and I genuinely think the Spanish FA is trying to fund getting as many Spanish players back to Barca so that they all play together and they have Xavi, and then they can do another 2 or 3 international tournament wins in a row. That's my conspiracy.
Hot take.
Take.
I mean, based on the fact we've talked about these teams that have done nothing or virtually nothing, we haven't mentioned Palace yet. Is there any particular joyous things happening there? You made Mateta permanent, didn't you?
Yeah, made Mateta permanent. There was a lot of weird things about that. We had an obligation to buy after X amount of starts, or people weren't sure if it was appearances or whatever. So he was an 18-month loan, and so rather than whatever the obligation was at about 15 million, I think we signed him for 8 million.
Okay.
Which I think for a 24-year-old Premier League
Smart
who's
business,
probably going to be the second, third choice striker, that's not too bad. Loaned one player for an academy, and then the other one we bought and loaned back was one of the Derby players, a striker who's come through this year called Luke Plange, maybe, I don't know. But we had to get special dispensation because Derby weren't allowed to sign any players, which included they couldn't get anyone back on loan. So effectively, we've bought him for $1 million. loaned him back, and we're paying all of his wages for this year to kind of help out some of Derby's horrific
What are you helping
debt.
out Derby for?
We're helping out everyone, mate. So we had the thing with Derby there, and obviously to make it fair, and because there were some other players that just went, so their owners were kind of appreciative of it. Then Hartlepool, we funded because there weren't any, it wasn't on TV or anything like that because it was in the 3:00 blackout. We funded all of their travel down, subsidised it, gave them 5,000 tickets. And we then, the Hartlepool manager, Graham Lee, I feel like his name is, his wife is quite ill, and apologies, I don't know the specifics of it, and was basically fundraising on a GoFundMe kind of page, and needed about, for all of her medications for a year, was about £60,000.
Jeez.
It got passed around Palace's Twitter, and it went from 10 grand to over the 60 in a matter of days.
Nice.
So just something that shine a light on a little bit, and really proud of the work and the support that my club's given, and to show that we care when there's a lot of stuff going on. That's not to say that other clubs don't do that kind of stuff, but it's
Palace
just
are doing
a really
well
nice
with that
thing
sort of thing, aren't they? I saw something about them as well. Is there some initiative about them helping academy players who have been been dropped or whatever?
So we're the first ones that are going to offer any players that don't basically get through. There's going to be, I think it's up to 3 years of support. And those kind of things, because it can be quite a lot. I think we've all known, as much as we don't know, high level and elite sports, we probably went to school with someone that
100%,
that was in that thing, and you remember never seeing them. I mean, I had one guy in my year played rugby for Ireland under-19s, and another guy captained England under-17s at cricket. I think something like that. And they were just never in school. You never saw them. And so they get such a disjointed life, and it's so much about sport, that then if that doesn't happen, it's not just a practical kind of side, but then the emotional kind of side. So, yeah, it's really, really nice on top of the work they're doing with the players and academy to have that, and supporting young people, especially in South London, to have an opportunity.
Definitely.
Thanks for bringing that up. I forgot.
No worries.
That,
so back to the transfer window then. We've gone through those teams that have not done a lot. So just transfer window widely. Do you think it was a disappointing one, or not disappointing one, because I don't know whether spending money is a good thing, but it felt a bit low-key to me.
It did. Spending was one of the records. It was mostly driven by Newcastle, who we'll get onto later, obviously.
Well, I think 10% of the money spent was on Chris Wood. Over the whole window, 10% of that money was Chris Wood.
Yes, you are correct. Yes, it was. It was about 250 odd million, and he was 25 million. Yeah. What the fuck?
What the fucking? But we'll get to that.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. But yeah, I think January in general is a weird one. That not a lot happens, and teams only really dip in if they need to. I mean, there are almost certainly big signings in there. Virgil van Dijk comes to mind as being a January signing, and obviously Liverpool as well signed Luis Diaz, who is kind of, you're looking at replacing Sadio Mane-ish position wise.
Well, the guy's 25. I mean, that's a great one. For the next, 6 years, isn't it? That's a really good signing.
Yeah, and they came very close to getting Fabio Carvalho from Fulham, who I'm sure our Fulham contingent listeners shout out Sophia, gold.
I haven't got
that in edit.
So.
You're not doing that. Okay. This will get cut out. And of course, he scored after 2 minutes against Man City in the FA Cup as well, and he's been pretty phenomenal. So I wouldn't be surprised, even though I think he ends up, but his contract expires. So
they can do something on a pre-contract now. Yeah,
but you never know if another club now comes in.
That opens it up,
he's definitely going. We can mention players, and we kind of will with these two teams that we've grouped together now. But a couple of new managers, old managers. One kind of new, very old, very, very, very old, and one new, old. Everton Football Club. I allow yourself a few minutes, listeners, to ponder what is an Everton? What are
You
Everton?
get very philosophical and existential sometimes, Chuck, and I enjoy it.
A mess. Like, they're Manchester United without as much money.
Budget, man, you.
Luca Digne was sold because he was falling out with Rafa Benitez, who was then fired a few days later to then have Luca Digne assist the goal that helped to beat Everton. And then get rid of him, and you bring in Lampard. No. Oh, bloody hell, I forgot about this. You had the guy, you know the guy, Vitor Pereira.
Yes, we briefly mentioned him, didn't we?
He had a private interview with Everton, and then after all the Everton fans said they didn't want him, went public on Sky Sports.
Pops off to Sky Sports News,
to give a fucking public interview. Seriously, listen to it if you can find it. It was so bizarre. Absolute
I'm
prime
sort of
time.
upset he's not going to be in the Premier League, having seen that sort of instant chaos.
Yeah, and then they get in Lampard. Like, I don't get what they're trying to achieve ever. It's nice to have him back in a job, sure. Should he be in a Premier League club, a team that needs shoring up defensively? I don't think so. They'll probably get a bit of a bounce coming off the back of Rafa, and they beat, who is it, Brentford 4-1 in the cup, which is quite big, but it's just weird, and I think it's summed up perfectly in the fact that they signed Donny van de Beek and Dele Alli on deadline day.
It's fuzzy thinking all round, isn't it? I mean, I think you might be right about there might be a bounce, but I don't know. Well, what are Everton's fixtures like in the next few? Let's have a look. Newcastle, Leeds, Southampton. So they've got a nice few.
The bounce is now.
For Lampard to settle in. But as you say, he feels like the wrong manager to fix the problems they've got. I don't know. We said before, getting rid of Digne just seems ridiculous.
It's mad.
And the players they've bought in, what's his name? Mikalenko. I think.
Yeah.
The one game I saw him in before the break, he did not look comfortable at all. And when you're getting rid of a player like Digne and thinking that you're going to replace like for like,
one of the most creative fullbacks in the league over the last few years since he's been in.
A fantastic player, and got his problems certainly with discipline and things, some on pitch discipline, but a great fullback, and it's going to be an interesting one, Lampard, and I wonder whether when they face Villa, whether Lampard and Gerrard will be able to manage in the same pitch together. It's a little Lampard-Gerrard joke. Everyone's done it.
I wonder how many times we'll hear those. What about, Donny van de Beek out in the cold completely from Man United. Palace were close to getting him. Even at Palace, it was like, that would be really nice, but we kind of don't need him. It would just be like...
Poor bastard, no one needs him. He's going to go to Everton, and he's going to be, I reckon, certainly to start with, he's probably going to be watching Dele play.
But Everton could all of a sudden start trying to resurrect careers. I mean, they got Van der Beek in on loan, and then they bought Dele Alli permanently in a deal that's worth up to £50 million. It's 10 million once he makes 20 appearances for them, which I think that part of it, that's quite smart. That's, if he plays 20 times, he might not. 10 million to Spurs, fine. But then, all the other add-ons could make it 50 million quid for Dele Alli.
They love spending money. They love it.
He needs to resurrect his career.
So, someone who will soon need resurrecting, both manager and club, is Watford, because Hodgson's going to die soon. How old is he?
70.
88, surely, if he's a day. He's just so old. Watford, what did Watford do? What is a Watford? Is another question.
I don't mind saying, Hodgson is 74, by the way. I don't mind saying that I laughed my fucking arse off when I saw that Watford had Hodgson, because they signed a load of players claiming to back Ranieri, then got rid of him straight away. A load of players who, I'm not going to lie, I know nothing about, but they signed a shitload of players in the summer that we knew nothing about. And I believe, Ian, you said, I know about them, they're fucked. verbatim. Go back and listen. But we now get the usual churned out, we know what we'll get from a Roy Hodgson team. He'll sort them out defensively. He fucking won't. And they won't score any goals. It's just, fuck, get rid of him. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, obviously their managerial appointment is a try and keep him in the division, but I think it might be pissing in the wind. So, I mean, I don't want to talk about Watford anymore, ever. So, who else have we got then? So we go into a different category now. A
different kind of category. There's stuff that's just a bit more notable, not necessarily for outrageous positives or whatever, but just some stuff that might be noteworthy. I mean, I think the team that bafflingly keeps somehow finding a load of money, Aston Villa, in getting in Coutinho and Luca Digne was pretty smart business. Callum Chambers
had a really good window, really good. I think losing Matt Target is absolutely fine. And then if they got in, I mean, Digne, as we said,
Luca Digne and Coutinho,
Coutinho. You know, even getting Chambers in from Arsenal, I can see why as a squad depth thing. That's fine by me. I think it's really good. I think they've solidified their position as a sort of top half table.
Maybe they are trying to go for that last Europe spot. You know, I said before I didn't really get why Coutinho in isolation till the end of the season worked, but to necessarily promote them to the next level, but. You know, they're not that far off. We all know what can happen in this league. So, I think that's great business. They just keep spending money. I wonder what their summer now looks like. Since, they got the Grealish money in. They spent all the Grealish money and then some in the summer.
Yeah.
To then spend money again here. Maybe sign Coutinho on a permanent in the summer. I know Barcelona would probably push for that, so they've got a bit of an advantage there because they need to clear funds so they can pay Aubameyang. Gerrard's doing fine. Improve the squad a bit more. Get to that level. I guess the next one that's kind of noteworthy is we get Christian Eriksen returning to Brentford. Not returning to Brentford, returning to the Premier League, but for Brentford. Lots of Danish links there, and just a nice story all round. Really, I think it's the kind of thing where if medically he's been cleared, Brentford are the level of a club that you can happily take a punt on a player like Christian Eriksen and give him a chance and potentially reap some massive benefits.
Yeah, I mean, this just feels like one that works for everyone, doesn't it? Eriksen will be a real positive, even if he doesn't immediately hit the ground running, which we can't really expect. He's been a long time out, although apparently he's been keeping himself very fit, according to reports.
Yeah.
Which you would expect because his end game is to play in the World Cup. This just feels like something that works for everyone because he'll be a positive in the dressing room. Apparently the players are absolutely pumped that they've got someone like him. Mm-hmm. I think it just doesn't have really many downsides. I think Brentford, we've talked about the sort of money ball thing, and this is outside of their usual way of doing things. They don't usually go for a big star. This is different.
They've never been in a position to, have they? They did very smart things. They went a bit left field with completely getting rid of their academy and bringing in the B team, and then they've sold. Yeah, they churned out Morpay, they churned out Ollie Watkins, Said Benrahma, all came through there. If you look at their conversion for signings over the last few years, it's in the hundreds of millions of profit. And so now, they get into the Premier League, they look better, albeit they're having a wobble and their manager is clearly medically insane at the minute. But then, it puts them in the position that...
Yeah.
You can get Christian Eriksen in, and it's like that feels good. It feels right.
Definitely. I think it's a good move all round.
Yeah, really, really nice to have him back after everything. I know he couldn't play in Italy anymore because of the rules, and that's neither here nor there. That's kind of what they do.
It just feels mad, doesn't it? That it was only this summer that we all had that sort of that horrible moment of watching what happened to him.
Far too fucking much of it.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And it was horrible. It was harrowing to watch. And to think that he's now back in the Premier League, is insane, and I do genuinely. There's a sort of feel good story there that I'm going to be rooting for him definitely.
Yeah, 100%. Speaking of feel good stories that we're all about rooting for, you're welcome, Oscar, for that segue. Burnley, no,
Come on, Bernard.
Chris Wood gone for 25 million. Sign an anti-vaxxer for
An anti-vax giant.
yeah. Apparently, the only reason they got him cheap was because no one else would sign him because of the risk of isolation rules. So there you go, Walt Weghurst, 6'6", behemoth. Time will tell, I guess, on Burnley. 2-0-0s. They are what they are, aren't they? Let's face it.
Well, they are what they are. Yeah, I think they should maybe get a slight bit of credit for. Wood was absolutely poached from them in one of the more cynical transfer moves I've ever seen.
Absolute fucking snakes. God, Burnley going above them on the last day of the season to relegate them.
Please.
Oh, so thrilling. Give me more in the belly.
But then they went and got a genuine, absolute like-for-like replacement, so they don't have to change their system or anything.
Yeah.
So
better stats, every category, better stats.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. A couple of years younger and a bit taller, which works for Sean Dyche, I guess.
I don't hate it. I hate his anti-vax stance, but I don't hate it generally. So yeah.
No.
Okay, unless he gives them all COVID and then they get relegated. Yeah. Who's next?
Yeah. Spurs, I guess. Spurs. Spurs, yeah, can't claim to know a lot about their signings.
No.
Bentancur was good for, I'm going to say Uruguay a few years ago in the World Cup. Fucking get in, Uruguay. Leave that in. That was genuine to Google. A good few years ago, but one of those ones that Juventus, with all their monies, when they went crazy with all of their signings and didn't really achieve much. And kind of similar with Kulusevski, as far as I'm aware. So Bentancur in the midfield.
At the minute, aren't they?
Yeah, Kulusevski's again meant to be a bit of a wonder kid. Always gets bought by Chelsea straight away in my Football Manager signing. So make of that what you will as a analog for real life. But in classic Conte form, he's already said he can play wing back. So
righto, yeah, okay, why not?
And I think the main thing here is the kind of clearing of the decks ? We've spoken before about Ali going, but Tongi and Ndombele, Brian Hill and Lo Celso all out on loan after they've been there like 1 and 2 seasons, I think, and combined was close to 100 or just over 100 million in transfer fees gone.
Doesn't matter, they've obviously not impressed Conte, so off you go.
Do you think this is a sign then that they are starting to listen to Conte and he's going to be back to his stuff?
I think he is someone who demands to be listened to, possibly even more than your Jose's in that. I think he comes with a level of clout, but Levy does what he wants. I think Conte should be backed. I think that he was a great signing for Tottenham. Above their level at the time, and Conte I think has still got some problems squad wise because Tottenham didn't do massive bits this window. As you say, it's more clearing out than bringing in. Conte is apparently reportedly really not happy with the right back situation, which is interesting because they only bought in that position over the summer. So yeah, but and maybe a striker.
They were linked with about 1 billion players. And all of them kept falling through / going to other teams. Dharma Traore is but one. I can't remember now. It's quite a while now. We're removed from deadline day, and that door is now fully slammed shut. So unfortunately, it cannot now be opened. It's been painted shut. But yeah, you need to back him because otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, and I don't think he'll put up with it. If he's not backed over summer, he'll go. I have no idea what will happen with Kane over summer. If he doesn't,
we'll get that again, won't we?
Yeah, we will. And if he doesn't pull his, there's been some green shoots with Kane, definitely. But if he doesn't seriously pull his finger out, they will get way less than they would have last year. Whereas if they do get rid of Kane for silly money, at least they can use that to rebuild. And I think Conte is the sort of manager you have to back. You cannot You cannot not give him the tools for the job and then mutual consent sack him or whatever a year from now. That would just be such a missed opportunity for Tottenham, where we are left with, not just this season, but, a fourth place Champions League race, that there will be a club that does not want to leave that door open any longer. Like, I don't know whether Man United will invest heavily or whatever, but someone's going to want to shut that door and claim that fourth spot for themselves. And if you back Conte, that club could be Tottenham.
100%. He's improved them massively since coming in. We've said it before. And we don't have the stats,
he's so
but
good.
They're deserving of being higher up the table now, which you weren't saying under Nuno whatsoever. And it's it is quite impressive how quickly he has turned them around, and that. But we've said it before with Spurs that we've been in this situation, it feels like. Now, under Mourinho, fair enough, because at this point, who knows what you're going to get? Well, no, you know exactly what you're going to get, and it's not going to be that productive. Conte, you're going to burn bright and burn fast, but, hold on and he'll take you places. They're the fourth, by XG differential per 90, they're fourth in the league.
So much better
this year.
So much better.
And I mean, they're in seventh right now. They're on 36 points, but they've got 4 games in hand on Chelsea, and Chelsea are on 47. So Chelsea are 11 points ahead of them right now. Tottenham win all their games in hand. Sorry, Oscar.
Well,
but they're ahead of Chelsea.
Yeah. It's not beyond the realms of possibility, is it?
No, that fourth place at the minute, I would say, is theirs. I mean, I can't be bothered to keep changing tabs for 5:38, but they must be up there, we've said before. Go on then. Right, we've put it off for as long as possible. The richest club in the world. Kieran Trippier, Chris Wood, Bruno Guimaraes, Matt Targett, and Dan Burn.
Dan Burn.
Whoa. What a
Lighting
start
fires.
to the era of the Saudis. Look, Bruno Guimaraes, granted, by all the stats, I'm not going to pretend that I know a load about him and knew a load about him before, but you look at his stats, and he is a great central midfielder. Box to box, not necessarily the most creative, but will retain the ball, decent enough passing, and will be able to kind of keep possession. Dan Burn is tall.
He is, isn't he?
Matt Targett, wasn't playing for Villa, but, the key here is they bring in a right back, they bring in a left back, they bring in a tall man, and see what happens. So, is the Eddie Howe revolution going to be crosses in the box? Is he going to learn from Arsenal? I don't know. They are still 67. I've got this one in my head because I've checked. They are still 67% to go down on the
now, that's interesting because, I was reading a lot of, you get a lot of transfer window roundups pretty much on the day after the window slammed shut. And
slams!
And the discourse of nearly all journalists, I don't think I saw a dissenting voice really, was that Newcastle have done enough this window to stay up.
No, I don't take that for granted as a thing at all, that they've done enough. Yeah. I'm not going to buy into it. As much as, I may be a bit biased, and just mostly because I don't want them there, and I also think it would be funny if they went down. Norwich have got more points than them, and they still look more cohesive now under Dean Smith than Newcastle do. They've had a couple of decent wins together and an FA Cup win to get through. Palace play them next, and we need to win tomorrow or Wednesday, whenever it is. Watford are Watford. Who cares? But Newcastle play all those teams down there, and if they can get some points against them, Burnley have still got a load of games in hand. Everton should pick up at least perform better than they were performing. So, no, I still don't have any faith in Eddie Howe as a manager whatsoever. I don't see anything ever. I never saw it at Bournemouth. They went well, and then once they spent a load of money, it fucked it instantly. So I don't rate it. They probably got some good players in there, sure, but and they who knows if they lose them if they do get relegated. But I just don't really buy it, to be honest.
That everyone's going to have to hit the ground running immediately,
quick
for them to have any chance at all.
100%.
And that how often does that happen? Especially with a coach like Eddie Howe, who I think is
who's still getting his feet under the
vibes
table
a lot of
as
the time.
well.
Yeah,
And, and imagine the pressure you're under. He must feel like literally is responsible for the richest club in the world and what's happening on paper. And then you look at like the next fixtures. Okay, so they've got Everton, who maybe they get a new manager bounce again under Lampard. That's tomorrow. They've got Villa. They're not better than Villa. They've got West Ham. They're not better than West Ham, but they're not in the best time at the minute. Brentford, I think, will be better organised against them and make it a good game. Brighton, the same. They've then got Chelsea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's their next 6 games.
Yeah.
They'll probably maybe they'll get a win and maybe a draw out of that. 4 points max, I think, out of the next 6 games.
That isn't going to shift the percentage, is it?
No, it's not. If you're earning 0.75 of a point a game for the next however many that is, 14, 16, another 12 points I think they're getting if they average that per game. Maths. So what's that putting them on? 27 points. No, I don't think they stay up with 27 points. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Oh, there you go. Newcastle slammed.
Slammed shut like the fucking door. Well, then that's it. That's a bit of the transfer roundup from us. Let's take one eye on the future, one eye on the past, one eye on the future. FPL is a thing.
No, it's not.
Okay.
You're a liar. You're a filthy rotten liar. It's not a thing.
17 points you got this week, wasn't it? 17?
Oh, career high.
17? I had 14 on my bench. So,
Oh my God, that's embarrassing for me. Right, okay.
For me as well. It's bad play.
How many did I have on my bench? 30.
4 players.
Oh God, I had 17.
On your
17
bench?
I had on my bench, yeah. Oh, good Lord.
Well then.
Okay, that's awful. So yeah, I took an 8-point hit and managed to secure 17 points. So that was good.
That's good. What's your rank now? What's your rank?
Overall rank is 263k.
God, does it go down that low? Oh, I didn't realise it went down that far.
Shut your face. There's fucking 9 million players.
Oh, yeah.
You're doing well, though, aren't you, mate?
40,000, yeah, mate, 40,000. 40,000 after a 35-point game week. Thank you very much. We'll have that. Yes.
That's
no
insane.
idea. The only reason for this section, just in case you were aware, is just for me to get that in. I have no advice, nothing. The next game week starts tomorrow. There's double game weeks coming up. Sure, make plans. Don't make plans. Who knows? Play your way. Have it your way. Burger King. Anyway, we're recording on Monday the 7th of February. Like I said before, Game Week 24 starts tomorrow with Game Week 25 on Saturday. But we have got Newcastle, Everton, West Ham, Watford, Burnley, Manchester United tomorrow. On Wednesday, we've got Man City, Brentford, Norwich against Palace, Spurs, Southampton and Aston Villa against Leeds. Thursday, 10th of February, Liverpool against Leicester, the landlord derby, Wolves against Arsenal. For those that don't know, I think it's still true that Brendan Rodgers is Jurgen Klopp's landlord. Are there anything? I mean, I know we've slated Newcastle. I have. You've been, an accomplice.
No, I'm with the slating. I'm perfectly happy to get behind that. Don't worry.
Good man. Do you think they get anything against Everton? What do you think? Do you think Lamps gets a bit of a bounce?
I think Everton will have enough of a bounce about them. I think they'll be, the FA Cup and the vibes. They'll be buzzing off for the Brentford result, and I think Everton should dispatch Newcastle. I don't think their new signings are going to just click immediately. I don't think that's possible. So
no, I don't see how it is. I mean, Guimaraes, he was off in playing in, I think it was World Cup qualifiers they were doing. Right. In South America in the last couple of weeks. And he's obviously the best player that they brought in, but that will take time, and they're not going to build the team around Shelvey.
Well, that's devastating for all concerned.
That is the main thing. Otherwise, I mean, are there any other? There's no real.
Villa Leeds might be a good game.
Villa Leeds could be interesting. I'd like to see Leeds make a bit more of a game of it. They've started scoring a few more goals recently, but then I say that I completely forgot. They beat West Ham 3-0, then they lost to Newcastle 1-0.
Oh, yeah, they did, didn't they?
Scroats. The absolute scroats.
Fucking Newcastle enablers.
Oh, they really are. If Newcastle stay up this season, it's all Bielsa's fault, and he should hang his head in shame. Norwich Palace for me is just an absolute must-win. That's it.
Shouldn't be a problem.
3 points is all that's acceptable at Carrow Road. So let's get that sorted. We pretty much as well have a full squad with no injuries, touch wood. Every single player, the only players we've got out was Kouyaté for Afcon, Zaha, who came back from Afcon, and then Tompkins and MacArthur, who are roughly, according to Ben Dinnery, due back on Wednesday, potentially, or available, which would just be fucking lovely. Lovely.
People overlooking Palace players in FPL, then Norwich, Brentford, then a double Burnley, Wolves. I mean, that sounds
is that
right
what we've got? Hang on. Ooh, that's you could Norwich, Brentford. I mean, we've got Chelsea, who are at the minute in the Middle East at the Club World Cup, and will be until a couple of days before. They've also got Lille in the Champions League coming up. I said it before. I think it's the best time Palace could have to play Chelsea.
Yeah, probably right.
A lot obviously has to go right. You know, you look at Palace, Liverpool, that we absolutely outplayed them, but you know it wasn't to be. But I think in that situation, that's kind of as good as you're going to get a chance. And Chelsea haven't been great recently, so I'm hoping for the first time in the history of us doing this fucking podcast.
Get one over on Oscar.
Oh, just please, I need it. Especially off the back of a W derby. And then, you know, we've got fixtures at the weekend. But, ladies and gents, I think that about wraps us up for this week.
Let's call it a day. Yeah.
Call it a day. Marvin Lee a day. Meatloaf. He sadly passed away in the last few weeks. Say goodbye, Mr. Ian Stimpson.
I would do anything. No, I'm not going to do that. No. Bye.
He wouldn't do that. And thank you very much to our producers. Shit, I've lost the list. Jeff, Johnny, Andy Penbrace with Sutton, Nate Whittam, Mark Duffin, and Sam Dunby. Yay, bye!